All right, everybody's here, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. We got Matthew, Blaze, Kylie, and Adeline. I'm gonna get my iPad showing, share. All right, so everybody can see that. We're gonna go ahead and go over what we're gonna do. So I can add and subtract decimals. That's what we're gonna be working on today. Except we're just going to focus mainly on adding. Okay? Because if we can add them, we should be able to subtract them because all we got to do is get the foundation down. So let's start out about talking about the most important thing when it comes to adding and subtracting decimals. Place value. Okay? We have different place values, so let's talk about that. We have a number like this. This is said 13 and 42 hundredths. Okay, so we're going to talk about these place values and then we're going to relate it to adding and subtracting. So this first place value we have right here, that we see in our number, is the tens place. Okay, and our next place value we have right here is the ones place. Okay, then if we notice we have a decimal there and then we have another place value, this is the tenths place. And then lastly, we have the hundredths. Now we have lots of other, oh, I spelled that wrong. Sorry about that. Kind of funny right on this hundredths place. Okay. Now, we have lots of other place values, but we're only focusing on to the hundredths place on here. Okay. So if I were to give you a number like that right there by itself, we can say this is 4/10 and it is falls in the tenths place. And we have 0 ones over here. Let's say we had a number like 18 and 700. We can see we have a place value in the tenths, the ones. We have nothing, but we do have something. It's just 0 in the tenths place. And then in that hundredths place, we have that 7. Okay. We say this as 18 and 700. What if we have a number like this just by itself? Do we have a decimal there? We do have a decimal. It comes afterwards, and we can just put a 0 here. We could put as many zeros after this as we wanted or before. Does that change the number at all? No, it does not. Okay, so these place values, we're going to take those and we're going to apply them to our adding and subtracting. So I made this little chart. This is on, I did upload this for anybody to use on our class website. We can see we have the tens, the ones, the decimals, the tenths, and the hundredths. And they're color coded. What we're going to do, we're going to color code our numbers to that so that we can see what place values we have, get them lined up, and add and subtract correctly. Now the thing is that most kids mess up on, they forget to line those place values up. They just line up the numbers however they want, without the ones being with the ones or the tens being matched with the tenth or things like that. Then I also hear kids say, well, you just got to line up the decimal. True, we do line up the decimal, but when we had that 2 up there or a number like that, do we have a decimal in there as of right now? No. So we might just think if we were, let's say, adding that to something like this, that that 2 might go with this 1. And is that correct? No, it's not correct. So we need to make sure that we're lining them up correctly. So let's look at a number that we are going to add on here. So let's do 3 and 94 hundredths. We're going to add that to 2 and 45 hundredths. Okay, so we're going to go through the place values on here. And if you want, go ahead and get your whiteboards and you can go along with this. I know if you have colored pencils that you can grab real quick, go and grab them, and we can underline and color code these as we go. All right, so we're going to start off with this first place value that we have right here on our number. So we have a 3, and that place value falls in the ones place. I'm going to go ahead and color that, underline it. I'm going to put that 3 in that ones place. Now, looking at the other add-in, I'm going to go ahead and line these up as I go from both numbers. I have a 2 in that ones place. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Now, our next that we have is our decimals. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in. And we have the tenths place. I have a 9 over here. I have a 4 over here in that tenths place. And then our hundredths place. Let me get it purple. We have a 4 here. We have a 5 here. Now, did we have any numbers in the tens place? We didn't. So I'm just going to go ahead just to make this filled in. We're going to put zeros there because we can. We're not putting them in between numbers. We're adding them on the very front or the very back. So we can do that. Now we can just add like we normally would. So 4 plus 5 gives us 9. 9 plus 4 gives us 13. However, we can't write 13 there. So we know that 10 of that, if we know about our base 10, are going over to the next number, which we call that carrying that 1. If we take that 10 away, it leaves us 3 left over. Okay. Now put our decimal point in. We have everything nice and lined up. Add over here, that's 1 plus 3 is 4 plus 2 is 6. Then we have that 0 over there, but technically we don't have to put that in there. So we can say that this is 6 and 39 hundredths. We could see we lined up our tens place are lined up. We saw our 3 and our 2 gave us that ones place. The 9 and the 4 was to our tenths place, and there's our hundredth, and technically there's our decimal point lined up. Okay, so let's look at another one. Let's say we have 6 and 3/10, and we're adding that to 14. All right, so let's start with that first place value. That is our ones place. We're going to go ahead and put that 6 in the ones place. Do we have a ones place over here in that second number? We do. We have a 4, so we're going to put that 4 there. All right, let's move on in that number. We have a decimal place here. Do we have a decimal place in this other number? Technically, we do. We have a decimal here, and what would go after that? We put a 0. So we're going to put our decimal place here, and we put a 0. Which that would be blue. And do we have a tenths place in our other number? We do. We have a 3. Now, are we forgetting our numbers? Yes, we are. We're forgetting the tens place over here on that 14. Do we have a 10 over here? No, so we're going to put a 0 there. Do we have any hundredths? No, we don't. So we're going to fill those in with zeros also. Let me go ahead and color code this 0 right here. All right, so now we have all of our place values lined up. And go ahead and add 0 plus 0 is 0. 3 plus 0 is 3. That decimal place. 6 plus 4 is 10. However, we can't write a 10 in here, so we're going to carry that 1 over, which is carrying the 10 over. That's going to leave us nothing here in this place value. 1 plus 0 is 1, plus 1 is 2. And this is our answer. We get 20 and 30 hundredths. Now, could I say this differently? I could by going 20 and 3/10, because we do not need that 0 at the end. It was just to fill in those places that we had over there. Okay, so we can see the big error that we caught was that we didn't line up our place values. That's the thing that we need to make sure we're doing. So what I'm going to have you guys do, I'm going to break you guys up, and I'm going to give you back your questions. I have those already typed up and everything for you guys. I'm going to give those back to you, and what I want you to do is I want you to correct your errors. I want to see if you can find them. I'll be in each room checking on your work and working with you, small group. If I see you guys erring anywhere. Um, Line up those place values. Write them down as you go. Figure out, does if one has one, does the other one have a number in that other place, in the same place value? If it does, write them on top of each other. If it doesn't, put a zero in that spot. Okay. Um, this works with subtraction also. We would do the exact same process. We would line up those place values and just subtract it off like we've been subtracting for a long, long time. So the key thing here though is we've got to get those place values lined up, because this being that 6 and that 4, if we didn't line up those place values, that would give us, we just lined up that 1 and the 6, this one and this one, like a lot of us did, that right there would end up giving us a 7 instead of 10, which makes a huge difference. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and break you guys up. I'll check how you guys are doing, check on each one of you. If you guys have questions, raise your hand. Once you're done correcting all of them, if I'm not already in there, go ahead and raise your hand. And I'll see you guys in just a minute. All right, so that would be the end. I would break them up into their own little rooms and give them the problems that we previously did that basically made me see that they needed to be put in a small group. They will have access to this chart that their parents can print at home and then have for them to fill out whenever they want to make sure they're keeping up with lining up those decimal places. For IEP students or 504 students, this would be very helpful because it gives them the example of each one of the place values. They would be able to have it on there. Talking them through on the video about just adding for those students that still kind of struggle with carrying, because some of them still might tell them, we're not carrying a 1, those type of things is very helpful for that. So the students would keep working on that. If they still didn't get it or were struggling as they went with place value, I would keep reviewing over, what number is this? What number is this place value? Which one does that go with in the other number? If the number didn't have a decimal, where does that decimal go? Because those are important concepts. And really the biggest error when it comes to students adding and subtracting decimals. Past that, I would give them their assignment in Stride or things like that they can work on doing these lessons and relating to it. I would then give them subtraction problems also and see if they could just relate that. And then if they couldn't, then I would pull them for another small group. So that'd be this lesson.